Hi, welcome to Henderson Hashtags. I'm your host, Chris Murray, and to the left of me is my guest, Chance Bohannon, a fellow aviation major at Henderson.
Hey Chris, it's great to be here.
Chance, why don't you tell us about the program at Henderson? What makes it great?
It's the aviation program at Henderson's a really close-knit community. You really get to know every aviation student. The aviation industry in a whole is actually a lot of connection. You get to know a lot of people. It's a really close-knit job market, and it's the aviation program aviation industry as a whole is growing every day.
That's great. Why'd you join the program in the first place? What interested you in it?
Well, I actually had to do a little research myself, and to find Henderson. Henderson is what they refer to as a 141 school. It's the only school in Arkansas that offers a degree program for aviation, and that's why I came to Henderson, to get a degree in aviation.
Okay, great. I came to Henderson thinking I would get to travel the world as a pilot. I just thought it'd be interesting, and Henderson seemed like a great place to start. Now, what do you like about the program? What do you don't like about it? What makes it solid?
The aviation program at Henderson, there's not a whole lot of students, so you get to know people on an individual level, and networking in aviation is very important. One downside, we don't necessarily have the most fancy equipment compared to some other schools around the country, but the cost per hour is a lot less, and if anybody knows that goes through aviation, it costs quite a bit of money just to get to the commercial airlines, and so any penny you can save is helpful.
That's great. About how often do you think you fly during the week?
They usually try to get you to fly around 2-3 times a week, and that's from an hour to 2 hours flight slot. You can fly more, a little less, so it honestly depends on the student and the instructor, how they want to work that out.
That's great.
The aircraft Henderson flies is a MAL MXT. Some of them are -7 slant Gulf, which is they have GPS units in them. We mainly fly with GPS nowadays. What they call VORs are kind of going out of service because they're older navigation equipment. Once you get your instrument in the MAL, you move over to the Piper Aero, which you will get your complex endorsement, and you will get your commercial in the Aero. We have 2 twin Comanches that we train our multi-engine pilots on, and then once you get your multi-engine, you can go get your CFI, your CFII, and your MEI. And then usually about that time you're ready to go to the airlines, and if you have your CFI, you can enter the airlines with 1,000 hours.
Chance, about how much do you think a airline pilot would make starting out?
The starting salary is between, I would say nowadays, 38 to 50, somewhere in that range. It honestly depends on the company, how qualified you are. There's a lot of varying factors. I mean, you can go out of country and fly for United Arab Emirates. China needs pilots, and technically you would make more, but in the United States, the aviation industry is all built on seniority. So seniority is everything within the aviation community.
Well, Chance, that's all great, but I think we're running out of time here.
I want to inspire people with my art.
I want to make good grades, new shoes.
I want to be a leader.
I want to be a state championship football coach.
I want to be a neonatal nurse.
I want more money.
I want all the money in the world.
Welcome back to Henderson Hashtags. I'm your host, Chris Murray, and to the left of me is my guest, Chance Bohannon. Now, Chance, coming into the Henderson program, what can you expect on your first day getting to the airport as an intro student?
Well, on your first day, you'll go out to the airport. You'll go up to the flight operations desk. You'll fill out a release form, which will give the dispatcher information on the airplane you're flying. You'll do weight and balance on the aircraft.
Okay.
You'll put your name, the instructor's name. You'll be filling out just some simple flight information, where you're going, how high you're going, when you plan to depart. Once you're done with all that, you and your instructor will go out to the aircraft, whichever number they assign you.
Okay.
You'll go out there and you'll do what's called a pre-flight. You'll go look around the aircraft, you'll check the oil, you'll check the gas, lights on the aircraft, flight instruments, just make sure the plane's airworthy.
Just make sure it's not going to fall out of the sky.
No, that's a wing fall off or
Yeah.
something like that. Then once you're done with that, you'll pull it out of the shade hanger, you'll climb in it, start it up, you'll do what they call a run-up, which is checking, they have two magnetos in the aircraft. You'll check those, you'll check the oil pressure, make sure the oil temperature's good, make sure the alternator's charging, battery. Once you do your run-up, you'll listen to the weather. Then once you see the weather, you have, Arkadelphia has one runway, 2, 2, and 4. So depending on the winds, that's what will allow you to make a decision on which end of the runway you depart. So say the winds are coming out of 2-2, which is southwest, you'll take off 2-2. So you'll taxi to the departure in 2-2. You'll give a radio call saying, this is 152 Hotel Sierra departing 2-2 for, we're going to, say, the northeast practice area. You'll give that radio call, then you'll enter the runway, you'll push full throttle. Once you get going down the runway at a certain speed, you'll pull back on the yoke, airplane will rotate. You get to about 700-800 feet, you'll turn what they call crosswind. Then immediately after crosswind, you'll turn downwind, and then you'll proceed out to whatever practice area that you have chosen.
And once you get to the practice field, what would be an average day for an intro student? What kind of maneuvers would they be doing?
As an intro student, you'll be doing steep turns, stalls, S-turns, turns around a point, rectangular patterns. That's kind of the
Just getting
starting.
the feel for the plane.
Yes.
Okay. Well, from your flight experience, do you have any fancy stories, any old war stories?
Usually everybody has a first solo cross-country story. Mm-hmm. At Henderson, you go from Arkadelphia to Hot Springs to Texarkana, and then from Texarkana back to Arkadelphia. On my route from Hot Springs to Texarkana, approaching the Texarkana airport, I was descending down, and the controller comes on and says that there's a plane behind me. There's been some malfunction with the engine. They've had to shut it down. They've declared an emergency, and they need everybody to clear the approach path. So
you had to abort your procedure and let the other plane get in.
I was on final, and I had to divert out of the
Okay.
way. So they came in, landed, fire trucks all over the place. They get off the runway. They have to search the runway to make sure that there's no foreign debris.
While this was happening, were you just circling the airport, spectating?
I was told to stay out of the airspace around Texarkana.
Okay.
And then once they cleared the runway, I was able to land, and everything was all good.
Great. Oh. Well, Chance, I think that's all the time we have. I'm glad we had you, and that'll be it for Henderson Hashtags.